Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I just see so many names that I know. Hello, Stephen, Patricia, Silene, Wanda, Evelyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so very much for joining us and taking the opportunity to meet the National Women's Political Caucus 2023 endorsees. We've invited a very select group of our endorsees to speak with you tonight so that you can understand the interesting new tactic that we have taken at Center for Common Ground, because we are going to engage in the Virginia primaries, and we want to engage in the most meaningful way possible. And that means we are going to need to work as our C4, National Women's Political Caucus of Virginia, so that we can go in deep on our endorsed candidates. So welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here on this Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. So I'm still bringing people in the room. We've got 71 people now, and I've got noise on the line. Let me find it. All
I got it.
right. All right, thank you. And yes, everybody go ahead, introduce yourself. You can let us know where you're from. We have a lot of folks who are calling in, who are our volunteers, and they are out of state. And we've got some Virginia folks who are here. We are delighted to have you with us. So what I want to do next is I want to give you some background, if you will, on what is going on in Virginia. So I'm admitting more people, and let me go and get my presentation. All right, there it is. No, that's not it. All right. We'll be getting started shortly. Oh, in a flurry of managing the room, I closed my presentation, but that's okay. I've got it back. All right, let me share my screen and let's get started. So again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Rally for Virginia, the road to Richmond. So as hopefully just about everybody on this call knows, Richmond is the home of the state capital of Virginia, and this is where our General Assembly convenes. So tonight, I am wearing my National Women's Political Caucus of Virginia hat. Many of you know me. My name is Andrea Miller, and while I am the founder of Center for Common Ground, tonight I am coming to you as the president of NWPC Virginia. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with our organization, it is a chapter of the National Women's Political Caucus, a national pro-choice, multi-partisan, grassroots membership organization dedicated to identifying, recruiting, training, and supporting women candidates for elected and appointed office. And right now in Virginia, we are the only organization that only endorses women. Now, NWPC-VA, we amplify National's mission, and we were founded in 2020 with the following goals: increase women's participation in the political process, increase the number of women in elected and appointed positions. That is where all of you come in. Support candidates who support women. And when elections are over, we keep going year round. Draft legislation that centers on equality and the needs of women. We are getting ready for the Virginia 2023 primary election. Election day will be June 20th. There are 100 seats in the Virginia House, 40 seats in the Virginia Senate, and all 140 seats of the general election of the General Assembly will be up for elections. As it currently stands, we currently have the majority in our Senate, 22 Dems to 18 GOP. However, we do not control the Virginia House. The Virginia House is 47 Dems to 51 GOP. When we look at Virginia in 2023, immediately after redistricting, there are 37 districts that are Republican leaning. There are 31 districts that are Democratic leaning. And then there were 32 new districts that are up for grabs. So this is going to be not only a very important election, this is going to be an amazing election. So let me introduce you to our roster of 2023 endorsed Senate candidates. Now, many of these candidates do not have primary elections. So when we are looking at the work we are going to be doing, literally starting tomorrow, we will be focused on the candidates that have primaries in June. In Senate District 2, Kathy Berry. Senate District 11, Sally Hudson. Senate District 13, Lashrecse Aird. Senate District 14, Katie Gooch. Senate District 15, Zala Hashmi. Senate District 18, Louise Lucas. Senate District 20, Victoria Luavanos. Senate District 23, Mamie Locke. Senate District 30, Danica Roem. Senate District 31, Russet Perry. Senate District 35, Heidi Droshak. Senate District 36, Stella Pekarsky. And Senate District 40, Barbara Favola. There are some names on that list that I know people in Virginia may recognize because they are incumbents. There are a number of names on that list who are challengers, and we are very excited for our challengers. On the House side, in House District 2, we have Adele McClure. 5, Elizabeth Bennett Barker. 14, Vivian Watts. 15, Laura Jane Cohen. 41, Lily Franklin. 55, Amy Loeffler. 57, Susanna Gibson. 59, Rachel Levy. 62, Sarah Radcliffe. 70, Shelley Simons. 71, Jessica Anderson. 76, Deborah Gardner. 78, Betsy Carr. 79, Ray Cousins. 82, Kimberly Pope Adams. And 84, Michelle Joyce. Some of these candidates are with us this afternoon, and you will have an opportunity to hear directly from them. I am so delighted and so proud that in the 2023 election, NWPC Virginia endorsed 29 candidates total. Now, for our volunteers, here is our schedule. Postcard addresses for NWPC are available today. Our phone banks opened up on April 21st. We will have our first phone bank training on May 3rd, and texting begins on May 1st. Now, in Virginia, we have 45 days of early voting. Early voting begins on May 5th. Now, meet your candidates who will be part of the June primary. Delegate Sally Hudson, who is running for Senate. These are our Senate candidates. Lashrecse Aird, who is here. Louise Lucas and Barbara Favola. We also have candidates who have not been elected before who are running. Katie Gooch, Victoria Luavuanos, Russet Perry, Heidi Droshak, and Stella Pekarsky. For every candidate that has a June primary, it is our goal to be texting for them, both our Senate candidates and our House candidates. Adele McClure is with us tonight. And then our other June primary House endorsements, Laura Jane Cohen, Amy Lawfer, Susanna Gibson, Ray Cousins, Kimberly Pope Adams, who is with us today, and Michelle Joyce. Now, every Wednesday and beginning next week, every Saturday, we will have, we call them National Guided Phone Banks, otherwise known as phone bank training. So for our volunteers, if you have already made calls using our phone bank system, you aren't going to need to be retrained. It's the system you're used to using. There will just be new and different scripts. Our postcarding campaign began, it literally launched today. And we have special postcards for NWPC Virginia. So we have Lady Liberty and we have our Elect More Women postcard. We've partnered with Postcards for VA.com to distribute the addresses and the scripts. And there I know are going to be some people who are going to want to get this presentation. We will make it available to you. You will get the recording of this. Are we recording? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay, you will get the recording of this presentation. And for those of you who want it, you will also be able to get the presentation itself. When you go to our texting page, what you will see is every candidate will be shown and there will be a button underneath that says send text for. Those buttons are going to start to go live tomorrow so that people who have texted for us before will be able to text, and we will do texting training on Tuesday. Now, how you can help. You can volunteer with us. You can donate to NWPC Virginia, and or you can donate to our endorsed candidates. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. So are there any questions that people have? We have everybody muted so we get a clean recording. You can put your questions in the chat and Josie will get to you. Yes,
And
there is a
we had two
link.
questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say there is a link to sign up to text, and I will give you that link. It's a generic link where you can volunteer for whatever activity that you want, and then we will go through. It's probably easier to just sign up at our generic volunteer list, and then from that, we will send emails to people who want to text, people who want a phone bank, and people who want to postcard. Um, do we have to use the postcard shown? You cannot, under any circumstances, use Center for Common Ground postcards. You must use NWPC-VA postcards or some other postcard. Center for Common Ground, that is a beautiful, beautiful question, is a 501c3 organization, and it cannot legally endorse candidates or in any way, shape, or form appear to be supporting an individual candidate. And now the individual, oh, all right, and there's a great question from Meg. A number of people that I know have been surprised at our endorsements of women running against some, quote, very, very, very nice men. And here is our response. If we look at what is currently going on in Virginia, we are really fighting the governor and all of the governor's people to be able to protect our reproductive freedom. We don't need a nice guy. We need a fighter. And while a lot of these sitting delegates and sitting senators are very nice people, they are not what Virginia women need at this point in time. We don't need misogynists. We don't need people who are going to go along to get along. And we don't need people who are willing to trade women's rights for their own better committee assignments, in general, better position. So that is why we realize that in this particular time, in this particular case, we trust women to get our work done. All right. So
Andrea.
Sorry, I got on my soapbox a little bit. Our texting platform is Outreach Circle, and why we are working on primaries, which are presumably Democrats. The Republicans have very few primary elections. They kind of prefer closed caucuses. They like to pick their voter. And the other issue is, presumably Democrats, we require all of our endorsees to be pro-choice, and there are not women on the other side who are stepping up and claiming to be pro-choice. So that is why in this election, we have only been able to endorse women of one party and not the other. And Virginia really doesn't have anything other than Democrat or Republican. We do not have strong independent parties here. There were a number of candidates who did not seek our endorsement. So in that particular case, I see the note here about Trish White Boyd. She did not request our endorsement. All right, Josie, are there any questions that I missed?
No, those were the two that I had, but Patricia Walker just posted one in the chat.
Are you sure that women will not fall victim to these political machinations and machines that men do? Number one, they promised us that they won't. And in the event that they decide they will, then guess what? As my mother used to say, elections are like a Greyhound bus. There is always another one coming along. And this would mean that in the next election, there would be no endorsement for them. So women have very, very long memories, and we know who is working for us. And the women who are currently elected have been warriors for reproductive rights. The new women who are coming up are very, very, very passionate about reproductive rights, about voting rights, which the only thing the governor controls is restoration of rights. And so he's decided, basically, I'm not going to do it. And then education equity. So yes. I do not know if we are going to have a select panel. At the moment, we do not have a select panel at NWPC Virginia. All right. Okay. Great questions, folks. Great questions. All right. I know it's a little early, but Adele, would you like to speak now about your campaign? Adele McClure is running for office in Northern Virginia, basically in the Arlington area. And Adele, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I couldn't unmute fast enough. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you all being here. As it was mentioned, I am running in the newly drawn 2nd district in Arlington. So it's a new seat. It's along the Metro corridor. So it encompasses a ton of renters. And I'm really passionate about renters protections, making sure that we're protecting bodily autonomy and all of our fundamental rights. And, I'm stepping up, running in the area that I grew up in. I grew up right down the street from here, experiencing homelessness, poverty, literally so many different things that, really are addressed in the General Assembly, and so many issues that I've worked on. So I have the lived experience, I have the policy experience, and I know the folks who are living closest to these issues. So one of my passions is making sure to connect those folks who are experiencing those issues to the policy. So that's why I decided to step up and run and make sure that those folks who feel invisible, who are at the margins, are seen. So I'm very excited to literally throw my hat in the ring. I've been running since January of last year. Many people told me it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but I can comfortably say easier said than done. I have been sprinting since January of last year. So I appreciate all the support that I've received so far. We still need to raise a lot more money as a first-time candidate. It's a new system that I'm navigating and needing to invest in to get the word out. So anything that you all can contribute, anything that you can do to help and volunteer, I really appreciate that. So thank you to all of you for literally stepping up and helping us to run for office and make sure that we're literally standing up and making sure that our rights are protected and expanded, and that we will not stand for any restrictions on any of our rights. Bodily autonomy needs to be enshrined in our state constitution. So I will stand up for that, and I will stand alongside you all to make sure that we fight for that.
Adele, there's a question in the chat. Can you say something about your opponent? And it doesn't have to be anything nice. We're over on our C4 side, so you can get real.
Yep. So what I can say about my opponent is, again, I've been running since January of last year, and my opponent just entered the race a month ago.
Yes. And as far as right. There's not very much we know about your opponent. We don't have any fundraising reports. I would say, in my experience, your opponent is running for office on Facebook, but because he has filed papers, there really is that possibility, probability. We have to take this seriously.
Yeah.
We don't have any choice.
And he
So,
did mention to myself and a lot of other people that part of the reason that he's running is that nobody deserves to run unopposed and that this shouldn't be a coronation. And that was in response to a lot of the support that I've received locally, statewide, and nationally. So I decided to continue on as if I'm not running against anybody and literally just trying to get the word out and get into the communities and do what I've been doing since January of last year. So I'm really excited about that. And this will also be a pretty historic race. I'll be the first Black person, first Asian person elected to the General Assembly from Arlington. And then I would be the second Black woman elected to any office in Arlington County. And I helped elect the first, which was in 2017 for school board, Monique O'Grady. And so we are very diverse here. We're very progressive. However, it's not reflected in our delegation. And so I want to make sure that I'm stepping up to bring that diversity and bring that perspective that folks haven't seen.
fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Adele.
Oh, one last point, actually. There's so
All
many.
right, all right.
I'll also be the only woman representing Arlington County in the House of Delegates.
How is that even possible? This is Northern Virginia.
Well, currently we have Delegate Elizabeth Bennett Parker, but because of redistricting, she's been drawn out of Arlington.
Okay.
But she was
Okay.
the only woman representing Arlington in the House of Delegates.
All right. Well, as you can see, that is why we need women to run. Now, the next candidate, our next endorsed candidate that I'm going to bring up is Delegate Sally Hudson. And I am going to say something about her opponent. Her opponent is a very, very lovely, kind, sweet man. I'm from Chicago, and I'm basically going to say what we would say about this in Chicago, looking at our times. When you're going to a knife fight, you don't bring a teddy bear. I mean, let's get real, the Virginia General Assembly, we are going to be going through some very, very rough fights. And when you got to choose your champion, as we women have learned, nowadays, in many instances, our best champion is a woman, because there's an understanding of what we go through as women. There's a built up rage that it's wrong, and they are going into this ready for a fight. So I give you the candidate for Senate District 11, Sally Hudson. Sally, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much for that kind introduction, and thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. My name is Sally Hudson, and I've been serving Charlottesville and Albemarle County in the House of Delegates for the last 4 years, and I am running for our brand new State Senate District 11 out here in the Blue Ridge. I am the first woman to serve Charlottesville in the Virginia House, the first woman to hold Thomas Jefferson's seat in the Virginia House, and I teach at his university, which didn't admit women until 1971. The early 1970s were an extraordinary time for Virginia women, for American women more broadly, for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which was the landmark Roe versus Wade decision that we were supposed to celebrate the 50th anniversary of this spring. This was the first year that state legislators in Richmond felt the full weight of our responsibility for reproductive rights on our shoulders, because the Supreme Court has made very clear that they are no longer coming to our rescue. And I am running for the state Senate because I think Virginia women are ready to fight for our rights on our own terms. I have learned in my first 4 years of public service, as Ms. Miller just said, that we do sometimes have to do that work ourselves, that we cannot always count on our male colleagues to do it for us. I learned that lesson as a freshman delegate when I filed a bill to repeal Virginia's ban on health insurance coverage for abortion care, because I knew that even when we were protecting people's reproductive rights on paper, that there were a whole lot of people who couldn't actually afford to get the health care that they need when they need it, because we had legal barriers to people using the health insurance they'd been paying for themselves to get the support that they needed with a diagnosis that they never expected. And I've faced a lot of opposition to that, including from men in our own party who were not ready to talk about who pays for abortion. Now, I am an economist, as some of you may know, so I'm always ready to talk about who pays for what, but especially when it comes to healthcare, because it doesn't really matter what your rights say on paper if you can't afford the care that you need when you need it. I teach economics at the University of Virginia, and on occasion on the floor of the House of Delegates when duty calls. I am the only economist in the General Assembly, and my work is laser focused on the financial barriers facing Virginia families. When COVID hit and 1 in 6 Virginia workers lost their jobs, I worked hard to secure an extra $220 million in debt relief for people who had been caught in unemployment traps. I have passed bills to protect Virginia patients from predatory medical debt collectors, from the burden of court fines and fees, to encourage more investment in affordable housing in Charlottesville City, which, just like Arlington and a whole lot of places in Virginia, is facing an affordable housing crisis. I think it's very important that in one of the wealthiest places in the country, that we are doing everything we can to make sure that every Virginia family can not just make ends meet, but have the resources that they need to chase their dreams and to ensure that their family thrives. And so that's the work that gets me up out of bed every day. We have a brand new state Senate seat out here in the Blue Ridge. It's all of Charlottesville. It's all of Albemarle. It's all of Nelson and Amherst too. And this is one of the deepest blue seats on the state Senate map. And it has got to have a strong progressive champion who is willing to stick their neck out loud and proud for the ideals that we hold so dear. And that's why I'm running for the state Senate this year. I think there's a lot that we can do to shake up the Senate. I think in particular about the Senate Commerce Committee, where so many of the big deal financial problems that we face run their bills. Right now, that committee has 15 members and only one woman. And I don't think that we should be surprised that when there's one woman in the room, when it comes time to talk about commerce and the workforce, that we don't have paid family leave yet in Virginia. I don't think it's surprising when there's only one woman in the room, when it comes time to talk about commerce and the workforce, that we're one of the lowest states for teacher pay in the country. And we don't yet have nurses unions at Virginia's top hospitals. There is an awful lot of work that we can do to empower workers all across Virginia to get the treatment that they deserve on the job. That is the work that I would love to do more of in the state Senate. Real quick, I saw a handful of questions in the chat, in particular one that is about ranked choice voting, because that has been a deep passion project of mine since before I've been in office. And in 2020, I passed a bill that now empowers communities across Virginia to use ranked choice voting at the local level. I think it's one of the most concrete things that we can do to get more diverse voices into politics and to start to get our country back on track. And that's why I'm so grateful to the good people of Arlington, who have become the first community to take us up on the opportunity to run a ranked choice election. They will be nominating their candidates for county board in June with ranked choice, and we're working hard here in Charlottesville to follow them. And so that is a real big step that we're going to be taking. And in the state Senate, I would love to continue to carry ranked choice legislation so that we can expand that opportunity up and down the ballot, so that we can get more voices, more choices, more power to voters in all of our elections. So with that, I am so grateful to all of you for taking some time this evening to talk with us about these races.
All right. Thank you so very much, Sally. And you gave me a line that I love more voices for more choices. Oh, that is marvelous. And again, more women's voices for real, sane, actually benefits women choices. Thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I see all of the applause that's coming up in the chat. That is wonderful. All right. The next candidate that I am going to bring up is Lashrecse Aird, who is running for Senate. Oh, do I have you in Central Virginia? Do I have you say PG-rated comments about your opponent. Is that even possible?
Well, don't worry. It is very difficult to do. And so I understand the position that you are in. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to give my deepest appreciation to the National Women's Political Caucus for having the foresight to pull together such an amazing coalition of exciting women candidates here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I want to give all of them kudos before I go into my own remarks, because I know just how hard it is to put yourself forward time and time again, even if you're already in office, and to say that you want to do this work, especially in times like these. Really quickly, I thought what I would do is a few things. And so first and foremost, before I am anybody's political candidates for any office, I am a mom to two boys, Blaine and Blake, that are 11 and 15, a wife to my husband, Blaine, and a mom, I think, also to my dog, Ace, and I reside in Petersburg. I am excited to be a candidate for Senate District 13, which includes all of Eastern Henrico, part of Charles City County, go south and pick up Petersburg, Dinwiddie, Prince George, Hopewell, Sussex, Surrey, so a very large urban and rural district. And the best way I like to describe my candidacy, because you're going to hear a lot about my opponent, but I was watching, and I don't know if anyone in the chat or anyone on the call watches Indian Matchmaking. It is a show on Netflix where you have this amazing matchmaker putting together those who are, looking for love. And she always asks every single one of her clients the same question: what is it that you're looking for in your partner? And I would like to use that concept, but ask you, what is it that you are looking for in your elected official? It's a very simple question. Oftentimes you might say something like, I am looking for someone with honesty, someone with integrity, someone who adheres to my values. It's not a difficult question. We're not talking about the social issues. We're just saying the basics of what you're looking for in anyone who desires to represent you. If you start with that alone, I got news for you. My opponent isn't a match made in heaven. He doesn't adhere to any of those things. He doesn't have any of those characteristics, especially integrity and honesty, that you can say about him. Now move to the issues. You will hear all night long candidates talking about just how critical it is that we protect the progress that we have made here in Virginia. 6 years ago, when I was elected to the House of Delegates for the first time as the youngest woman ever elected to that body, I knew then that I was made for that moment, and even more that I was made for this moment, because my opponent is the only anti-choice Democrat in the Virginia Senate. And I will probably go further and say in Virginia, in elected office. We cannot sit back and allow a man with a, I'm going to try and keep it positive. I'll say a storied personal tale as his be the deciding factor of whether we continue to have reproductive protections here in our Commonwealth. And I will go further and say it's bigger than me, and it's even bigger than Virginians, because look at what's happening around us. Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina. Right now, Virginia is a safe haven for so many people. They are dependent upon us. Every single day I'm knocking doors, and I am talking to both men and women who can't believe we are having to revisit this conversation about whether or not someone should have the ability to make this deeply personal decision if it comes down to that. I was proud to cast a vote for the reproductive protections that we have here in Virginia, and I cannot sit back and allow someone like my opponent put at risk so many people, so many families, and so many individuals. This district that I am running in is a majority minority district. It is a strong Democratic district. I could talk about reproductive rights and his position on choice all night, but the truth is, he does not adhere to even basic democratic values. He has voted against public education. He has voted against workers' rights issues, environmental justice issues. I can go down the list. So when we have only 40 seats in the Virginia Senate that are coveted seats, there is no reason, especially when you have a Democratic margin like ours, you should have someone in a strong Democratic district that is not going to vote to support both the values of the people in the district and the values of Democrats in Virginia. I am not just talk. When I was in the House, I was proud to make history passing the ban on the use of no-knock search warrants, also known as Breonna's Law. I was proud to pass legislation to ban the box on employment applications, on higher education applications, declare racism a human rights crisis, to put reimbursements in place to combat infant and maternal mortality. I could go down the list. You will never have to question what I stand for. You will never have to question what I will be fighting for. I have taken my humble beginnings, turn it into effective advocacy, and I know that I could continue to do that if reelected to the Virginia Senate. Thank you so very much.
And thank you, Lashrecse. We must have a strong, honorable, vibrant, passionate woman like you in the Virginia Senate representing us. And I think everybody agrees, or people are going, well, they want you in the US Senate now. We'll do one Senate at a time. We will do one Senate at a time. Thank you so very, very much for joining us this afternoon. Good luck. And again, we will be texting for Lashrecse. We'll open up tomorrow. I saw a friend of mine put a question in the chat. When will texting for her open? That will be one of the first. We already have her phone bank up, and I know there are already people who have contacted us wanting to postcard for you, Lashrecse. So thank you so very, very, very much, and good luck. You are on a mission from the women of Virginia. All right. Now, I mean, this is turning into something that is really, really fun, right? Yes, I agree, Edna. Women are the future. And that is what is going to keep Virginia from going down the path of our neighboring state, North Carolina, and literally make Virginia, again, the beacon for the South and literally for the country that we were in 2021. All right, now, our very next speaker, our very next guest is actually, and I love the way this works out, is literally running for the House district in a subset of Lashrecse's district. So I want to bring up Miss Kimberly Pope Adams, who can tell you about her race. So Kimberly, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the lineup. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much to NWPC Virginia for providing this platform. As said, my name is Kimberly Pope Adams. I am a working single mom. I'm a rural Democrat, and I am the next delegate of the majority-making 82nd District. My district covers Dinwiddie County, Prince George County, Surrey County, and the city of Petersburg. We are historically blue, but the incumbent is not. Simply put, the 82nd District is one of, if not the most competitive House race in the Commonwealth. We can win back the majority, and we will win back the majority as long as we have the right candidate in the general election. And I am that candidate. This is my first time running for office, but I am 100% homegrown. I was born and raised in a city named Hopewell, Virginia. I'm the daughter of a union worker. I'm a first generation college graduate, and I've been an accountant for the Commonwealth of Virginia for nearly 2 decades. So my career spans 5 administrations. And it's no secret that Republicans are doing their level best to roll back the progress that we have made as Democrats. We're talking voting rights, responsible gun safety measures, affordable access to health care, and of course, our God-given right to choose. So in order for us to take back the majority, we need steadfast, unmovable candidates who aren't afraid to roll up her sleeves and do the hard work. So as delegate, I'm going to channel my lived experiences to fight for the issues that matter to all of us. I'm talking issues like fully funding our pre-K through 12 public schools and ensuring that broadband is as accessible for me in Dinwiddie as it is for someone in Dumfries. I want to fight for guaranteed paid sick leave for employees to use for themselves or their dependents. Because like I said, I'm a single mom, and if my son is sick, that's what I call a sick day. I want to fight for safer communities that are free from gun violence. And of course, as I said, last but certainly not least, I want to fight to enshrine a woman's fundamental right to make her own healthcare decision. So listen, I know my race won't be easy, but nothing worth fighting for is. So I challenge you all on the call to support my grassroots campaign because, hey, there's work to be done and there are women ready to do it. So I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you for this platform, and I'll check the chat for any questions.
All right, Kimberly, that is so great. One of the questions that I saw in the chat was someone wanted to know, are any of the GOP leaning districts at all flippable? And my answer to that is, if you have a candidate and you are running in one of those GOP districts where there currently is a Republican woman in that seat, when you have a candidate, you have a chance. When you've got a candidate with fire in the belly, when you've got a candidate that is standing up for what is right, you now have a much better chance of connecting with real voters in that district. Now, by the way, when we are writing these postcards, when we are making phone calls, when we are texting, only women. We are going straight to our sisters and going, hey, we're just betting you are as going, what on earth is happening in my world, as we are. So Kimberly, I'd like your take on your district as it currently stands.
Well, I'll tell you, and future Senator Aird is on the call, so she will attest. 2021 was a fluke, and we all know it. This district is blue. This district will be blue. We just need to remind rural Democrats why they are Democrats. I believe that I'm the type of candidate who can articulate to the rural communities why it's important for us to band together, to refocus, and to remember that that Glenn Youngkin red vest was just a ploy. And we know at the end of the day, the working families need Democrats in office to get things done. So I am ready to fight for the working families, the single moms, the single dads. I'm just ready to do the work because, like I said, someone needs to do it, and we all know women get it done.
That's right. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Kimberly, thank you so much. We are dropping your donate link in the chat. Yes, women get it done. My mother had an interesting saying. My mother had a lot of weird sayings. And one of her sayings was, when we talk about women getting it done, was that if men had to have children, everyone would be an only child. Yes, my mother was out there. Anyway, I want to bring up another candidate, someone that I have known for quite a long time. I knew her from being the LA in a General Assembly office. I worked with her quite a bit during my days with the Virginia Green New Deal. I'm talking about Lily Franklin, who is trading in her experience as being a staff person at the General Assembly to come back and actually be a member of the Virginia General Assembly. And Lily is another rural Democrat, and she is running in the southwestern part of Virginia. We frequently forget that there really is a southwestern part of Virginia. So Lily, thank you so much for stepping up.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. You're part of my journey on getting here to this stage and getting to running for office. It's been a long journey. So if we haven't met yet, my name is Lily Franklin, and I'm the Democratic nominee for the 41st House District. A couple of things I want you to remember about this district, if this is the only thing you take away. It's an open seat. We absolutely can win this seat, and we have to win the seat in order to flip the House in Virginia. A little bit about me. I grew up here. My family's from here. My brother, my grandparents, my cousins, we all live in this region. This is where we call home, and this is where we plan to stay. When I first started thinking about running for office, I had to sit down with my family and talk to them and think about what we were going to share. We had this shared struggle growing up, and we found that it would be better to share the struggles of a working class family than to keep silent on the matter. The truth of the matter is I watched my parents struggle to make ends meet while my dad dealt with a complex substance abuse disorder. I worked several jobs through college to pay my way through. At one point, I was clocking in at McDonald's at 11 p.m., clocking out at 5 a.m., sleeping for a few hours, going to class, then clocking in at the Y and closing the facility down, working 18-hour days on end. When I was barely holding on when I had my own Me Too experience. It wasn't until later when I got out of that crisis mode that I realized that my story, my family's story, we weren't the exception. We were the rule. More families struggle than not, and they just keep struggling, and the struggle is only getting worse. And that's my why. It's why I left to teach in Appalachia and taught high school education. It's why I came back to Roanoke to serve in Delegate Sam Rasool's office. And now it's why I'm running for office in the 41st District. I believe in a Virginia where all Virginians can thrive at all stages of life. And this is normally a lot where I would go into kind of my policies, but I thought it was a little bit more important to talk about why District 41 is so critically important. I think a lot of people, they hear my accent, they hear where I'm running, and they want to write this area of the state off. But I'm here to tell you that that's not what we want to do. So growing up, when I was working for Delegate Rasool, I would drive every day by this Planned Parenthood getting to the office. And that's Sam's district is next to mine. And so I would drive by this Planned Parenthood. And every day there would be protesters out there protesting this Planned Parenthood. I thought, well, that sucks that that's happening, but there's only one or two people. Now, fast forward to where we are today. That same Planned Parenthood, 28% of the abortion care that they provide are people that are crossing state lines to get that abortion care. They come from Tennessee, Kentucky, and most recently, Mississippi. When they go into that Planned Parenthood, they come in fearful of their future, and they come out with this re-energized hope. When we My opponents, they're both against abortion, and one of them is even against birth control. That future is not a future I want. And when you hear about a candidate running in Southwest Virginia, a lot of times we are that beacon of hope for communities at interest and marginalized communities all across the sea of red around us. And so when people see this district, I want you to know that when you're supporting my race and supporting what we're doing here, you're supporting the communities of color that feel forgotten in Appalachia. You're supporting the poor community. You're supporting women. And that's what I want you to understand about this district. We absolutely can win this district. There are more Democrats than Republicans. We have Virginia Tech University. Students are fired up about this election and what they can do here. We're going to need lots of donations and we're going to need lots of volunteers. We're going to be hitting the pavement every day, and we have been. And I hope that in the coming months that you will join my team and you'll support this district and support me as we flip this seat and flip the House back blue.
Yo, Lily, I am so delighted to see you running. I am so delighted to see Lily step out of Sam's shadow. And now we can see Lily Franklin being Lily. Thank you so very, very, very much. I am just so phenomenally excited about you. This is really, really, really wonderful. So Lily, thank you again so very much for running. I was just thrilled that number one, you were running, you sought our endorsement, and you are one of our endorsed candidates. So go, Lily, let us claim that piece of Southwest Virginia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. Now, I want to bring up somebody. There are people at NWPC Virginia other than me, as hard as that is to believe. I want to bring up Jennifer Gaylor, who is our communications person. And Jennifer will be putting out a lot of the communication pieces about our candidates. So Jennifer, please say a few words.
Yes, I am going to make it a slight few because I just want to get back to these amazing, amazing candidates. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. If you follow us on social media, which I hope you do, I will put our links in the chat. You know, we put out, and it's not just me in communications, I have a team, there's a few of them on the call right now, that, you know, we really think long and hard about how to best present what NWPC is trying to do in Virginia, right? We lead with the issues. Bottom line, we lead with the issues. What are women, femme presenting people in Virginia need out of their elected officials, families in Virginia? We have so many exciting candidates this time. I mean, I heard a lot of these women because I was in on a couple of the interviews, and just hearing them again tonight, I'm like, yeah. I mean, this is one of the strongest crop of candidates that we have running in this pivotal election year in Virginia. I want to thank everybody who's here who is not in Virginia, so that they can kind of understand what we're going for. We like to say, one of the hashtags I like to use is Virginia is for election lovers, because we have an election, I think, every single year. So you're going to be seeing on our social media, we're going to be posting links to all of our candidates' websites to see how you can also help them. I saw that Josie said she's going to be putting a lot of links in an email to everybody. So, you know, we are excited, we are ready, and we are not only spotlighting these candidates, but spotlighting the issues. You know, one of the candidates earlier talked about Black maternal mortality. It's a huge issue here in Virginia. Overall maternal mortality went up 130% during the pandemic. That's insanity in a country and a commonwealth like ours. So we share a lot of things like that. We share a lot of the events that we'll be doing. We're going to be at the Women's Summit this summer, you know, also talking about these candidates. So we are just really blessed and happy that so many of y'all are here and that you're ready to get to work with us. So thank you.
And Thank you, Jennifer. Now, I don't know if you were looking at our Canva this morning, but I want to share something. I started working on our GOTV door hanger. So I'm going to let people see this. Now, this is the first time that anybody has seen the NWPC one. So this is the one for Petersburg. And you can see we've got Lashrecse, we've got Kimberly. We may adjust some of these issues. And then we let the voters know where and when they can early vote. We have the phone number for the registrar in their locality. And we have what you can use for voter ID in Virginia. Virginia is not photo ID, even though if you looked at bills going through the legislature, they wanted it to be. Virginia is voter ID. We also have same-day voter registration. Yes, Janice, I've also already done Chesapeake and I've done Portsmouth, but I just wanted people to have a chance to see when we are able to get our canvassers out. And our own Janice Gay is building a canvassing team in Hampton Roads. We will work to get more canvassing teams throughout Virginia. Now, one other very important point, I figured out today that in order to text all the women in the districts for our candidates that are running in the primary, we are probably looking at spending between 300 and 400,000 text messages. Now, right now, remember, all of our money is on the C3 side. We are going to need to raise money on the C4 side to be able to do all the things that we have spent years doing on the C3 side. So just want to let people know that's why we are doing what we're doing. All right, Jennifer, thank you so very, very much. And she's calling in because she was at another event. I'm going to give the floor to Danica Roem, who is running for Senate. Danica, welcome. Thank you so very much for taking the time to join us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm so sorry I'm not on camera right now as I'm on the road. I just had a constituent meeting over in Yorkshire because that's my day. And for that, I just graduated 9 more Democratic women through the Emerge Virginia boot camp. So this year I have trained 26 Democratic women to run for office here in Virginia. And last year I trained another 7 on top of that. So since I took over as executive director of Emerge Virginia, I've now trained 33 Democratic women to run for office. And this year, I'm also really happy to report that right now, running for the General Assembly of Emerge Virginia alumni, so just Democratic women who we've trained through the program over the years, we have 46 Democratic women who stepped up and put their names on the ballot just among the Emerge alums, let alone all the other women who are also running. So that's super exciting. And I'm one of them. So thank you all so much. If you don't know my background, the very short version of it is I'm a 3-term state delegate representing Western Prince William County and the city of Manassas Park in the House of Delegates. In 2017, I became the first out-of-state trans-state legislator in American history by defeating the 13-term, 26-year self-described chief homophobe of Virginia, to flip that seat red to blue as one of 15 Democrats who flipped seats red to blue in the House of Delegates that fall as part of our major blue wave. Since then, we have now passed 41 of my bills into law, and that's 40. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we've now passed 41 of my bills into law, all of which earned bipartisan support. All of my bills that have passed the House have subsequently passed the Senate. I've never had a bill vetoed. I am uniquely qualified to deliver on day one for Western Prince William County, including on the major issues I ran on all the way back in 2017. My slogan back then was Fix Route 28 Now. I am driving on Route 28 as I speak to you, and it is under construction based on a vote that I cast when I was a member of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, and I just secured $24.5 million to fix the part of Manassas Park in Yorkshire that I've been working so hard on. We also secured another $8.9 million for modern roundabout along Rollins Ford Road between Bristow and Gainesville to make my constituents' commutes safer. I tell you that not because I expect all of y'all to live in Western Prince William, but to tell you I bring home deliverables. 41 bills passed, money, major money for roads. We have now insured more than 37,000 residents of Greater Prince William in health insurance through Medicaid expansion when I kept my 2017 promise on April 30th, that's today, of 2018. I am so proud of that record. And I cast that vote for Medicaid expansion because I know what it's like to be in my early 30s, to be unemployed, uninsured. I was driving a 1992 Dodge Shadow that was worth $324. It had more rust than paint when I kicked off that first campaign. When I was sworn into the House of Delegates in 2018, I was still uninsured for another 3 weeks. I remember so well what it was like when it was December of 2016, and an ambulance had to come pick me up because I had viral gastroenteritis. And the tears that I was streaming down my face in the back of that ambulance, it wasn't just from the pain. It was, oh my God, how am I going to afford this? No one should have to live like that. When I was a kid growing up in Manassas, I'd be at All Saints Catholic School in Manassas until 6:30, 7 o'clock at night sometimes, waiting for my mom to come pick me up because she was battling it out on Route 28 to get to Manassas from her job over at Dulles International Airport, the commute she made for 40 years. And when I first ran, my predecessor was more concerned about where I went to the bathroom as a trans woman than how his constituents got to work. Well, today, Route 28 is under construction. Medicaid expanded. I voted to keep for teacher pay raises 3 times. Between 2020 and 2021, when we had Democratic control of all 3 levers, we had a Democratic trifecta, we passed more LGBTQ equality bills than we had ever passed in the previous 400 years of the Virginia government combined to make Virginia a nationwide leader in equality. And my God, if we hadn't gotten that done at the time we did. I heard you all talking about voting rights. We passed more than a dozen bills, making it easier for our constituents to cast their legal ballots, so that now Virginia is one of the easiest states in the country to vote in. What I am doing for the state Senate is I am working on those core quality of life issues that affect the very people of my lifelong home community, the same community that I spent more than 9 years serving as their local reporter when I authored more than 2,500 news stories about Western Prince William County. No matter who the Republicans nominate, we know we have the votes to win this district. We know my constituents know who I am. And at the same time, we will outwork them. We will outraise them. We will out-hustle them. And we will bring along flips for the House of Delegates as we do it, as 2 of the most competitive House seats in the entire state fall just below me in the same area of Western Prince William County. And we are already running joint lit together. We're already handing out palm cards that have my information on it at the same time that it also has Josh Thomas's information, HD21, Travis Nemhard's information, HD22, Michelle Maldonato's information, HD20. We are running coordinated joint campaigns so that we can run together, win together, and serve together this upcoming January when I'm sworn into the state Senate It's another first for Virginia, but more importantly, as the local kid from Manassas who now gets to be the senator of Prince William County. So thank you all so much. If you want to help me out, the place to go is you can go to actblue.com and you can contribute by typing in my name, Danica, D-A-N-I-C-A, last name is Roem, spelled R-O-E-M. You can visit my website, danicaroem.com, otherwise danicaforstatesenate.com. You can follow me on social media, and I am here to not only win this critical toss-up seat, the 20th most Democratic seat out of 40 seats in the state Senate, but to also make sure that we flip back the House of Delegates so Glenn Youngkin does not have the ability to run roughshod over Virginia, and we can continue passing progressive bills, put those on his plate, and make sure that we are going to stem the bleeding so that we can protect all of our rights, our civil rights, healthcare rights, bodily autonomy, and everything else that comes with it. So thank you all so much for being on the call today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions for Danica? Danica, thank you so very much for joining us. Thank you so very much for all the work that you have done and all the amazing work that I know you will do. You so totally rock. And I'm going to say it, you're a rock star. So let those crazy old rockers come out and say, you can't say that. I'm going to just say that. Thank you so very much. So do we have any questions for Danica? Everybody's just been talking about how amazingly wonderful, amazing, and awesome that you are.
Well, thank you for your kindness.
All right. And we have put your Direct Act Blue links in the chat. So people who want to donate will definitely be able to find you. Yes. All right. Katie, you are really, really popping everything in the chat. Katie, I am going to make you a co-host and invite you to come on and tell us all these things that you have been pumping wildly into the chat.
Oh, good Lord, me?
Yes, you, former birthday girl. I am glad to
Yes.
see that you survived your birthday celebration.
I did. Yeah, I am just really super excited about each of these candidates in particular. They like was said before, I believe that we have one of the strongest slate of female candidates I've seen maybe ever in Virginia, and I'm just super excited. Now is the time. There are a lot of issues that are really important to women and working families that are just not going our way necessarily nationwide, and we need to keep Virginia as a stronghold, and we need more and more women in those really important seats, making sure that the right policy is being passed, that all of the right voices are at the table when people are discussing women's bodies. It really should not be decided by a bunch of men. So I'm just super excited that I mean, it's hard to even pick a favorite right now. Like there's so many people that I think we should all be signing up to text, a certain number for every single one of these candidates, because, it really, we're working across the different parts of Virginia. Every single one of these districts is a district that really can go in the direction of people who, support bodily autonomy, people who support families and education. And there's really no reason that we shouldn't spread our love around. It's not just that we have a couple of good options. We have many, many great options, and we all just need to do the work and show up and volunteer and call, phone bank, text, walk the streets and hand out the handbills. Those were really excellent. I love it when I see such actionable information being handed out to voters. Frequently we hand out things that are like, oh, here are all the, important issues that you should care about. But then there's no actual, here's how to go actually vote. So I think those are super helpful. And I'm really glad to see that they're already designed and ready to go. I think the primaries, especially Lashrecse's primary, is super important. There are a number of really good, important primaries, and then there's going to be the general. And, you know, Virginia is a great place if you love elections.
You better love elections if you live in Virginia. Now, a really important point you brought up, Katie. One of the issues that we will run into in the primary is in Virginia, in many of the districts where we have an endorsed candidate, 70 to 80% of the voters do not show up and vote in primaries. So the work that we do, contacting voters, phone calls, postcards, text messages, even knocking on their door, is very, 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 very important. Even many of our voters who would always show up and vote in November, many of them just do not show up for the primary. And that is why one of the reasons in all of our scripts is we tell people a primary election lets you choose who you're going to have on the ballot in November. And that's why they're very, very important. All right. Now, we have accomplished something really, really exciting and outstanding. We are actually done early. So I will give people one last opportunity for questions. Otherwise, I'm going to say, please volunteer, 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 volunteer. And if your form of volunteering is writing a check, write a check, write a check, write a check to not only NWPC, but these amazing, amazing, phenomenal women candidates who have taken time from knocking on doors to come and spend time with us. So to all of our candidates, thank you so very much for running. Thank you so very much for joining us. And we wish you all the luck in the world. One last, Nadine. Hey, Nadine.
Hi. Okay, so I wanted to sign up for you said Tuesday there's a text training. And when I just signed up with the links that were in the chat, I got, with the National Women's PA-VA, I got emails back, but it seems sort of circular. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Nadine, a lot of that is new. We are rebuilding the whole Center for Common Ground infrastructure. We're rebuilding a lot of it over at NWPC. So I know you want to text, so I will invite you to the training that I will be hosting personally on Tuesday.
Right. And I have to double check my schedule. I hope I can come then, but I just didn't see where it led me to an easy way to sign up. That's what my question was. So you'll handle it, but I was just wondering for in general. So it's a work in progress. In other words,
it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Evelyn, you have already texted using Outreach Circle. You are ready to go.
And just to clarify,
ahead,
for folks who want to volunteer, if you just fill out the volunteer form and say you want to text or send postcards, then once we have our training scheduled, we will make sure to get that information out to anybody that signs up to text.
Yep. That's exactly what we're using it for. All right. So I was going to say, if you have texted with us before using Outreach Circle, then you are already trained. You just need to wait for tomorrow afternoon when we start rolling out the very first texting campaigns. Now, again, remember, they roll out tomorrow. They won't all launch tomorrow, but we will roll at least 2 out tomorrow. And depending upon once we hit the halfway mark, we will then roll out other campaigns. So the texting campaigns that will start tomorrow, and then we will train people and roll out new campaigns. So the phone banking is already ready to go. So yes, you will get those links once you tell us that you want to volunteer, and on the form you can tell us exactly what you want to do. So, oh, all righty. And there's more questions. Yes. Josie, are there other questions that I missed?
Yes, let's see. The first was just a clarification on our phone, if our phone calls made within a phone bank. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Will the NWPC Virginia phone calls be made within a phone bank so that we can get questions answered as they come up? I think that means that if you come to a Tuesday National Guided Phone Bank, they are through the Center for Common Ground, but there will be a breakout room for NWPC-VA calls. And if you attend one of those calls, we will have trainers there. I think Andrea will be there every week.
Yes, I will be there.
I believe, sorry, they're on Wednesdays. But if you come to one of those, you'll be able to get your questions answered as you go.
All right, great. And then I just dropped the link in the chat for where you can find all of our endorsed candidates. Yes, they are absolutely amazing. And we will educate voters and let them know there are candidates out there that are willing to stand up and fight for what they need. One of the reasons people stop voting and they say their vote doesn't matter is they look around and they say, well, I voted and I voted and I voted and nothing in my life got better. We, through these amazing candidates, will show people, yes, your life will start getting better. But this is the first step. Let's get people in office who care about people, who care about women. All right. Thank you all so very, very much. Take care, everybody, and good night.
Good night.